What's good everyone, it's Kajani with another episode of The Crafter's Corner, a video series dedicated to crafting and gathering in Final Fantasy XIV. This episode is a continuation of an episode I did a couple weeks back about the current endgame for crafting and gathering. I wanted to see if during the live letter, the developers would reveal a new endgame activity for crafting and gathering. An activity similar to something like the Skysteel tools that we got in Shadowbringers. Unfortunately, they did not reveal any new crafting or gathering activities during the live letter. I am really enjoying the new content that we've gotten in patch 6.25, however I am a bit disappointed that we didn't get any new relics or something similar for crafters and gatherers in Endwalker. It appears that the level 90 endgame for crafting and gathering will involve gathering prime collectibles for materials to use to craft expert recipes to get optional landmarks for your island sanctuary. And with as popular as island sanctuaries are, you bet that there will be more optional landmarks that will involve crafting in the future. My first impression of the process of getting a fountain was, why did they make this so difficult to get such an optional item? And even after I get it, no one besides my closest friends are even going to know that I have it. Even though I really enjoy expert recipes so much that I feel that they should have a bigger place in the game, I just didn't expect the bar to be set so high to get a water otter fountain. The water otter fountain did have its benefits though. For those who were able to craft fountains early in the expansion, you probably ended up making a ton of gil. And even if you didn't want to mess with crafting the components themselves, there was still gil to be made by farming glyoaether. Overall, selling components and glyoaether ended up being a good thing for the economy of Final Fantasy XIV. It provided another option to make some gil for players with endgame gear. This was especially important since the endgame economy was not as profitable as it used to be due to the 1 week delay of the release of the Savage tier. Since it's highly likely that releasing the Savage tier a week after the patch will become the new normal, providing endgame crafters and gatherers with additional ways to make gil is important to the game. With all that said, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think the crafting and gathering endgame should be solely tied to crafting optional items for what amounts to optional content. Crafting the water otter fountain or whatever optional items are soon to come shouldn't be the only endgame activity, because when you really look at it, there isn't anything to do as a level 90 crafter or gatherer. Fishing is the only job that has an endgame that provides content throughout the expansion. Anything I would recommend to a player who just hit level 90 is older content like getting a Resplendent tool, doing the Studium quests for the story, or getting a Skysteel tool. There really needs to be content for level 90 crafters and gatherers, and continuing the relic questline would have been a good way to accomplish that. Of course, I am not asking for a relic questline to be tied to a restoration or anything like that. Just something simple. Something simple that involves a fair amount of crafting and gathering that by the end of the expansion gives me something that's best in slot and also has a little bit of shine on it. Oh, and along the way, of course, the obligatory Rowena cameo. If they continue to go this route, maybe they should include more accessible expert recipes in terms of difficulty for newer players. That way, new players can get comfortable with expert recipes, then move on to the more difficult recipes. Having some variety besides the water otter fountain would be nice as well. Maybe include craftable outdoor furnishings, minions, or mounts that can be crafted from materials gathered from prime collectibles, then have to be crafted with expert recipes. That way, it provides an endgame activity that would test the knowledge of the player as well as provide a way for them to make some gil. Personally, I learned a lot about crafting and gathering by going through the process of getting a Skysteel tool, and having something similar every expansion is a way to give new players that same opportunity. And even when the relics aren't the best tools in the game, they can still be used as glamour, and glamour that lasts forever. So I guess we will have to stay tuned on what the next endgame activity will be for crafting and gathering in Endwalker. Let me know if you have any thoughts in the comment section below. below. That's all for this episode of the Crafter's Corner. I will catch y'all in the next video. Until next time, peace.